Hi class, this is section 1.4 on radical equations, equations quadratic in form, and factorable equations. Part 1. A radical equation is an equation that involves a square root or a cube root or another radical where the x appears under the radical. So for example, in number 1, we want to solve the equation. We want to find the real solutions to the equation. We'll have to check our answers to make sure that our proposed solutions are valid. All right, so I'm going to rewrite the equation. We have the third root of 14x minus 6. I want to isolate the radical, so I'm going to add this 4 to the other side of the equation. Now I'm going to raise both sides of the equation to the third power. This way on the left-hand side, I'm taking the third root of 14x minus 6, but then raising that to the third power. So those cancel each other out. I'm left with 14x minus 6. On the right-hand side of the equation, 4 to the third power is 64. Add 6 to both sides of the equation, and we'll have 14x is equal to 70. Divide both sides by 14. Let's see, I think 14 goes into 70 evenly. 7 certainly goes into both of them, so 7 goes into the numerator 10 times, and it goes into denominator twice, and 10 over 2 reduces to 5. So our proposed solution is that x is equal to 5. Now we need to check this answer. So on the left-hand side, we'll have the third root of 14 times 5 minus 6. We then subtract 4, and we want to know if this is going to equal 0. So 14 times 5 is 70, and then we subtract 6. So we'd have the third root of 64, which is 4, minus 4, which is 0. So this is a true statement, which tells us that x equals 5 is the correct solution to the equation. Part B. On this problem, the radical is already isolated. I have 3 minus x plus x squared by itself under the radical on the left-hand side of the equation. This is equal to x minus 2. So I'm ready to square both sides of the equation since the radical is by itself. On the left-hand side, the square root and the square cancel out, so I'm left with 3 minus x plus x squared. On the right-hand side, please remember to FOIL. So we'll get x squared minus 4x plus 4. If you need to, do a little bit of work over in the margin. So x minus 2 times x minus 2. X squared minus 2x minus another 2x plus 4. So that's where the x squared minus 4x plus 4 comes from. Okay, next we can subtract x squared from both sides. So those will cancel. We're left with 3 minus x is equal to negative 4x plus 4. Let's add 4x to both sides. We then have 3 plus 3x is equal to 4. Subtract 3 from both sides. 3x is equal to 1. Divide both sides by 3, so we'll come up with x is equal to 1/3. But remember, this is simply our proposed solution, and we now need to check that. Okay, I'm going to start with the right-hand side of the equation. So whenever you're checking your solutions, remember to always go back to the very beginning. We're checking the original question. On the right-hand side, if I plug a 1/3 in for x, I have 1/3 minus 2, which is going to be a negative value. We'll get negative 1 2/3, or as an improper fraction, negative 5/3. This tells me right away that the answer is no solution. X equals 1/3 is not going to work. because on the left-hand side of the equation, I'm taking the square root. I'm looking for the principal or the positive square root of a number, so there's no way that can equal negative 5/3. Okay, let's look at the left-hand side just to see what's happening. On the left-hand side of the equation, we have under the radical 3 minus x, so I'm going to plug in the 1/3 there, plus x squared, so 1/3 squared is 1/9, and this is all underneath the radical. If I use 9 as my common denominator, 3 is the same thing as 27 over 9, minus 1/3, which is 3/9, plus 1/9, again, this is what's underneath the radical, in the numerator, so let me write in the denominator first of all. In the numerator, we have 27 minus 3 plus 1, so that gives us 25. So notice we have the square root of 25 over 9. I'm kind of out of room. Let me come up here a little bit. When we take the square root of 25 over 9, we get 5/3. But on the right-hand side, we have negative 5/3. So if you're coming up with an extraneous solution, meaning you solve the problem correctly, but it's not the correct answer, typically there's a problem kind of like this going on, where on one side of the equation you have the positive square root of the number, and on the other side of the equation you're off by a negative. Okay, so that's why it's very important to check these solutions. Okay, once you solve the problem, if you're squaring both sides, you're only coming up with your proposed solutions, and you have to check them. So the correct answer to this problem is no solution. Okay, so here's a problem for you to complete and turn in through Canvas. We want to find the real solutions. So we have the square root of 15 minus 2x is equal to x. Okay, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.